Hello and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, court orders Senator Nnamdi and 2 other sureties to produce IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu or forfeit 100 million naira bail bond. Senate asks appointment of a separate minister for the power sector to ensure quick resolution of electricity supply challenges in the country. Army commences Operation Crocodile Smile in the Niger Delta, denies claim of carrying out vaccination as more parents storm schools to withdraw their children over the rumor. And US-backed Syrian forces take control of city declared IS capital of its caliphate.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's annual inflation rate eases again to 15.98% in September amidst rising food prices.
On sports news tonight, former EPL champions Leicester City sacked manager Craig Shakespeare after 4 months in charge.
And from Abuja, former President Olusegun Obasanjo canvasses strong opposition to check excesses of the ruling party, insists he's not returning to the PDP.
We begin from the nation's capital, Abuja, where the absence of the self-styled leader of the indigenous people of Biafra in court today stalled his trial for alleged treason. Mr. Kanu was expected to appear before Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court to defend himself against the charges. The prosecution had asked the court to compel Nnamdi Kanu's sureties to produce him, but Justice Binta Nyako gave them 1 month to produce him for the next court hearing or forfeit the 100 million naira bail bond each of them signed. Our correspondent Amaka Okafor reports.
As always with Nnamdi Kanu's treason trial at the Federal High Court Abuja, security is stepped up at the court premises. No sooner had 3 of the 4 defendants arrived at the court premises, their trial commences. But the absence of Mr. Nnamdi Kanu means that the case, which had been adjourned for hearing on the 25th of April 2017, is not going to continue as planned. Prosecuting counsel on behalf of the federal government asked the court to revoke the bail granted to Mr. Kanu on the 25th of April and to compel his sureties to produce him as he had violated all his bail conditions.
The court will make a necessary order when the time comes in respect of the defendant who defaulted in appearing before the court.
Reacting to the application, Kanu's lawyer Ifeanyi Jiofo claims he is unaware of his client's whereabouts following the visit of the Nigerian army to his residence on September 11, 2017.
I don't know whether he's alive. They are with him. The Nigerian army is with him, and we have filed a suit to that effect before this court, and it's sent to this court.
Justice Nyako then asks one of the sureties, Senator Enyinaya Abaribe, the location of Mr. Kanu, to which the senator replies that he does not know where the defendant is and states that he has filed an application to be disqualified as a surety to Mr. Kanu. However, the judge informs Senator Abaribe's counsel that he only has 3 options to recuse himself as a surety. These are production of Kanu in court and withdrawal of himself as a surety, or in the alternative, forfeit the 100 million bail bond he signed as a surety, or ask for more time to produce the accused. The lawmakers' counsel reluctantly opts for the last option. Outside the courtroom, the other defendants are involved in a fracas with security operatives when the defendants insist on addressing the media. While his party argues that Mr. Kanu is in the custody of the federal government has asked the court to compel the sureties to produce him to answer charges against him. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
Now, the president is worried about how some state governors could sleep with their eyes closed and yet not pay workers' salaries. President Buhari's worry comes on the heels of a visit by some members of the Governors Forum to the presidential villa today. The governors are from Zamfara, Kwara, Ondo, Akwa Ibom, Bauchi, Kebbi, the Deputy Governor of Ebonyi State, as well as the Chief of Staff, Abba Kyari. The chairman of the Governors Forum, Abdulaziz Yari, who led the delegation, asked the president to release what's left of the London-Paris exit payment to enable states plan appropriately for the 2018 fiscal year. Our correspondent Gloria Umezuke reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari receives a delegation of the Nigerian Governors Forum, led by its chairman and Governor of Zamfara State, at the presidential villa. They went into a closed-door meeting. Afterwards, the chairman of the Governors Forum, Abdulaziz Yari, pointed out that the president has done well, for that the governors are hoping that the ongoing reconciliation of the Paris exit loans would be concluded soon.
As a father, we confront him that, Mr. President, you remember in 2016, we present you the numbers of London and Paris club exit, which we agree that you directed to pay the 50% and 50% upon reconciliation. Mr. President, reconciliation is on since 2015 and 16, and we are hoping both DMO, Ministry of Finance and AGF and our consultants are concluding this reconciliation by November. So therefore, we want to come and grab your indulgence so that we can factor the numbers in our 2018 budget.
The governor of Benue State also visited President Muhammadu Buhari separately.
Nice to see you. Thank you very much.
Speaking with State House correspondents, he called for the arrest of Nyeti Allah, the Cattle Herders Association, and vowed that in spite of threats by the group against the anti-grazing law, its implementation will take effect from November 1.
We stand with what we have done. We have done our legitimate, lawful role as governor, as citizens of the state. So we don't see how somebody will sit somewhere and say that we should not implement a law that has restored peace in our place. If you want to bring confusion, I want to assure you that the security men, I have directed them, they should arrest those people. I am calling for the arrest of the leadership of Nyeti Allah to be prosecuted, to serve as a deterrent.
He also spoke on the current wage bill in the state, describing it as exorbitant.
But honestly, 7.8 billion naira wage bill for Benue State is out of place. There is no way we will continue in this manner. And we have come to an average of 4.5 billion naira that we just have to review to that.
The governors are hoping to find common ground on the range of issues at their next meeting with the president. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Now let's get a bit more perspective on our story, where the Senate asked the executive to appoint a separate minister for the power ministry to function effectively. Let's see what transpired as the senators said what they did.
October 2017.
It's the first legislative sitting of the week, and the power sector is at the heart of discussions in the upper chamber.
It is quest to bridge the power gap.
A federal lawmaker recalls the privatization exercise of the federal government in 2005, arguing that the exercise effectively limits the role of the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing to policy and oversight of autonomous agencies in the power sector. He is, however, worried that the Ministry of Power, as currently constituted, lacks the required competence and resources to execute some projects in the sector.
What is that there are challenges of managing such projects because the Federal Ministry of Power, as currently constituted, does not have the required professional competence and resources to effectively execute these projects. Hence, they resort to engaging contractors and consultants for every project development activity.
He also argues that the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing is going beyond its core mandates.
What is that with the privatization of the power sector, the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing is rapidly expanding its project implementation activities, rather than limit its role to general policy direction pursuant to Section 33 of the EPSR Act 2005.
The debate was thrown open, and some federal lawmakers call for the separation of the portfolio of the Minister of Power, a move which they say will eliminate the conflicts of responsibilities in the sector.
The thrust of the ministry is to give policy direction. But what we find today is that the ministry continues to appropriate these jobs that are specifically meant to be done by agencies under the ministry. So you find that the ministry is building power plants, and so we think that it's an anomaly. Of course, we also use this opportunity to tell the federal government that there is need to break up that ministry. I think that one ministry with all these myriad things is actually too much.
It is very clear that there is this discrepancy in having one man very many major ministries. And it is now right for us to ask that the power ministry be taken out so that somebody can oversee it and ensure that that is properly taken care of.
The upper legislative chamber also urged the federal government to immediately incorporate special purpose vehicles for implementation of alternative energy projects. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
President Muhammadu Buhari will on Wednesday leave Nigeria for Istanbul in Turkey to attend the 9th summit of the developing 8 nations, the D8. Before the summit begins on Friday, October the 20th, President Buhari will visit Ankara, the Turkish capital, on the invitation of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. A statement from his special advisor on media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, says President Buhari will also partake in discussions bordering on expanding opportunities through cooperation. President Buhari will, among other things, discuss education and migration issues, defense, cooperation and security with the D8 leaders. The 9th summit of the D8 countries coincides with the 20th anniversary of the organization, established to improve the developing countries' positions in the world economy. Now, my colleague Ibrahim Adra is currently in Ankara, the Turkish capital. He's covering the summit and he joins us now for an update. Hey, Ibrahim, what can you tell us now?
Yeah, well, Ijoma, you have pretty much say what there is from that statement that came from the presidential villa. But I've got to let you know that it's about past 12 local time here, and temperatures dropped to about 11 degrees. That's a little bit uncomfortable. But then on arrival today, we saw a lot of activities, especially among diplomatic officials for both countries, preparatory to Mr. President coming in tomorrow. And when he does, besides the interaction, high-level interaction with the Turkish president, whose invitation is honoring, we are also going to see the president visit the Grand National Assembly, where he will be meeting the speaker. And of course, when he goes for that conference on Friday, the 20th, again, issues that bother on agriculture, trade, transportation would be coming up. But then it's also safe to say that at every stage we expect Nigeria to be talking about security as the president and his administration seek to consolidate on the efforts to tackle insecurity thus far.
All right, indeed. You're talking about security. What are you hearing about some of the discussions that we're going to be bringing to the table in terms of defense as well, quickly now?
No, not much, Ijoma, because most of the people who will probably give an insight into that discussion are busy for that during that preparation today. So we didn't get to speak to anyone in particular about that. But then it is safe to also assume that the issue of arms importation to Nigeria, which, well, still remains in the realm of speculation, you know, that some of those weapons were imported from Turkey would perhaps feature prominently on the discussions. Ijoma.
All right, thanks a lot, Ibrahim. You stay with it and keep us updated as that summit gets underway as from tomorrow when the president does arrive. And in part 2, after the break, the army denies carrying out vaccination on school children as troops begin Operation Crocodile Smile in the Niger Delta. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.